In the entire history of motorsport, no one has been liked, respected and valued more than Sid Watkins. Because Professor Sid Watkins, OBE, was not only one of the world's leading neurologists, but a passionate motor racing enthusiast whose knowledge, influence, leadership and determination turned a viciously hazardous sport, which claimed many lives a year, into one of comparative safety. When Jackie Stewart crusaded for greater safety in Formula One, the general attitude was, if you can't take the heat, keep out of the kitchen, and he was vilified for his valiant efforts. But the tide turned when Bernie Ecclestone asked his friend Sid Watkins to do something about it. Working tirelessly, Sid transformed the medical scene. Proper facilities at the circuits, helicopters to transport the casualties. Sid himself, sitting in a medical car in the pit lane at every Grand Prix. Better crash barriers, better helmets, safer car and circuit designs, and so much more. The death rate plunged, and so many drivers owe him their lives. Ask Martin Donnelly. Ask Gerhard Berger. Ask Mika Häkkinen.
Every sport needs personalities, and Sid was definitely one of them.
We were so lucky as a sport to get hold of someone like Sid.
I have extremely good memories in the professional side, but even off professional side in private moments that I shared with him.
I remember back in '03 when I had an accident in Monaco and I woke up. The first person I saw was Sid, and when you saw Sid's big smile, you suddenly felt a lot more at ease and a lot more comfortable in his presence.
And he also liked to drop a whiskey too, so he's a good bloke, and yeah, we'll miss him greatly.
Sid was everyone's friend in Formula One, and he'd help any of them. A warm-hearted and kindly man who loved his cigars, his whiskey and his fishing. He had a highly developed sense of humour. Why do you persist in wearing that misshapen FIA cap, I once asked him. To wind Bernie up, who wants everything to be perfect, came the reply.
Sid, did you have a favourite out there?
I always remained absolutely neutral, except when I punched you in the belly after you had your appendix out.
Sid warmed everywhere he was with his presence and made his world a better place. I'm sad that such a wonderful man is no longer with us. I'm sad for his charming wife Susan and his family, and for all of us who were so lucky and privileged to have known him. But our heartwarming consolation is that he left the sport he loved.
In Formula One, just give us an idea of what this sport was like in 1965 when you first climbed into a cockpit and went racing. How different was it in terms of safety?
Well, I wish we had Sid Watkins there in 1965, because the struggle to get safety was enormous because the establishment were against it. You know, I had a steering wheel with a spanner taped to it because in those days they weren't retractable steering wheels. The cars, you were sitting in the fuel tank. The number of fires we had was horrendous. The number of deaths we had was horrendous. If you raced for 5 years during my time, there was a 2 out of 3 chance you were going to die. A 1 out of 3 you were going to survive. So when I retired from the sport, I carried on a little while on safety, but really Sid picked up from there.
Do you think the new drivers don't fully respect that they're just taking too many risks because the safety is so good?
Well, Eddie, I think there's no doubt that there's an element of comfortable living that they've never seen the sort of accidents. They've never been to those memorial services. They've never been to those funerals. They've never been and seen the mother, the father, the brother, the sister, the girlfriend, or the wife and the children. If that were to happen, I hope it never does. But, you know, 18 years, 5 months and something like 17 days since we lost the life of a Formula One driver is an incredible testament to risk management. But I do believe there's liberties being taken today on the track that should not be taken. And I think the penalties that the governing bodies should hand out for those errors and the manner in which some of these manoeuvres take place is a reason to be concerned about. And therefore, I think if they were to readjust themselves to the potential of what can happen, it would not be a bad thing.
Well, just bringing it back to Sid for a moment, it's normal at a time when there's a loss that everyone will find the good in someone. But I think maybe you could put into words just what kind of a man he was as an individual, putting to one side all his work on safety.
Well, Sid Watkins, first of all, we have to send our sincere condolences to Susan and the family. I saw Sid the day before he died. I went to see him in hospital, and I went to the funeral just managing to get over here. This feeling in that church was amazing, but I think when we stand for a minute's silence tomorrow, we're going to have a big, strong feeling about Sid Watkins. There's not anybody in this whole paddock that wasn't helped in one way or another, whether it was a driver, whether it was to do with safety, whether it was to do with illness of mechanics, their families, their children. Sid Watkins was always there. Much, much loved by this community of Formula One particularly. But that was allowed to watershed down to other formulas. The medical facilities we've got on a Formula One track today, Sid Watkins is responsible for that. And what he has done for this sport can never be forgotten. And the love that he's given out to so many people. And he had a huge sense of humour.
Yeah.
He loved his wine and he loved his scotch and he loved a very good laugh.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for sharing your memories, and we should also extend our thanks to you for all the hard work that you put in to making this a safer sport. And on behalf of the whole of the BBC F1 team and this sport in general, we send our condolences to Sid Watkins' family, and perhaps the greatest legacy is to make sure the quest for better safety in Formula One never ever stops. Jackie, thank you very much. Enjoy today's qualifying session, and really, when we talk about safety in Formula One, it's the modern drivers and these modern tracks that really are kept so safe by all the work that